So what I found is basically from section A to section B in any song, I've established one riff, I've established a key center, which is A, and I've established that that's kind of whatever this is the norm. So now I have to contradict this in some way for the second section, which is what I do in every song is either build on it, bring in more instruments, redefine it, or contradict it in some way. So I want to rhythmically contradict that. So I found another drum beat that sounds different, and I just grabbed it just because it had snares in weird places. And this is another just total preset. Normally what I'll do is after all this stuff, I'll go in and I'll move the kicks around, or I'll move the snare around, or I'll have programmed different kinds of fills and stuff like that. In that first beat, I had the same fill happen at the end of the two bars. I don't care about that right now. Later on I'll fix that. This can be generic right now because when writing music or writing scripts or writing anything, the most important thing you can do is keep on writing. So if you've got a cool section, like say now I'm kind of liking this first riff. It's getting a little bit more personality to me since I changed the thirds around. It's not just power chords. So now I've got to figure out what to write. I don't know what to write. So they say when you don't know what to write, write something. So at least you know what not to write. And that's like a screenwriting thing. So even if it sucks, section B, I've got this, so check this out. Here is the B section drums. This is what I've got right. So I'm going to loop that 4 times, and I'm going to try to find something to play over that. It doesn't have as many double kicks. It's a little bit looser sounding, and it's got a little more ghost notes with the snare. And so what I'm going to do is I'm in A, and then I go to G, then D, and then A major. So I'm going to go back to the A minor. It's another A chord with the third in the bottom. And then I like that sound from A to A major. So I'm just going to make that the riff. So I'm going to kind of do something that doesn't sound as open. I'm going to probably do a little bit more muting. And I'm going to show you just a B section. Maybe it's going to suck, maybe it's going to be cool. Who knows? But I have a 2-bar intro, and I'm just going to play something on top of it for 4 times. And I'm going to come back to it. If it sucks, who cares? No one's going to know. Except for you guys, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do, alert the media? All right, here we go. So that's what I got. So that's section B. I don't have this thing even. It was recording right there. There's the proof. So that's what I just did. I did that. I may be peaking a little bit. It doesn't matter because this is just a demo. So the next section I have, this is the third section. So I've got 2 sections. I've got this one, and then I have just major to minor, minor to major. And the thing that's going to make that exciting is either me finding a cooler way to play that, me doing something cool with the bass, or me having a really cool melody on that that's memorable and it piques our interest. So I'll get into the melodies later on, which is part of my process too, is to come up with a melody. So I'm going to go into the next part of the thing, which I found just another thing. Again, these are total presets mostly from Gene Hoglan that I have dragged down and are putting in straight into the timeline. So this is the next piece of this is the next drum thing. So that's the loop. So I'm going to see if I can do something with that. So I did that 4 times, and I've got an idea just to make the next part interesting. I'm going to try to move some chords around a little bit. So I was going back and forth between two chords and with a key center of A. Now I'm going to move it around a little bit. I'm going to change my key center. I'm going to go to the fourth, which is E. So I'll go E minor. I was in minor, major. So I'm going to just play some chords, some standard chords. So E minor with the seventh. So A7, suspend the fourth, resolves. Then C, then G. So we've heard these chords before. What I haven't done, so that's another thing when writing a song. Each new section, how do you change up the harmonic rhythm? The harmonic rhythm is the speed of the chords. So I had 2 chords going back and forth, now I've got 4 chords. So that's going to make us interested in the music. It's just kind of what happens. So, so I'm going to play that. I'll try to do some more. It's like a muted, arpeggiated pattern that's going to be probably not perfect, but we'll get the idea. So let me just record the next part of the song. Isn't this fun? Okay. I blew it. Guys, I blew it. Here we go. Ready? Starting again. Command Z, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. All right, so that's section 3. And I'm going to record the very next section, which is basically, I'm going to go right back to the top and just play that out. So here goes that. And then we're going to go into some melodies, and then we're going to move forward. So back to the top. So I'm going to go back to this. Finish. So I've got like a 2-minute, 40-second song here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some melodies on top of this thing, and we're going to listen to that. So if I started here, so what I'll usually do is I've got another delay here that I'm going to mess around with. Maybe turn the delay down just a little bit. And turn up the volume of this. So what I'll usually do is I'll loop something. And this is how I work on sections with by myself, or when I, later on, as you see the whole process, when I sit with Gene Hoglan in the studio with an actual real drummer, I'll loop sections, or I'll have the drummer or anybody that's in a band they'll just go over a section over and over until they find something that starts making their ears excited. So I had an idea for a melody here. Let me just play in input only mode and see if I can just kind of mess around with an idea. So. That's kind of a cool idea. So I'm just going to play it at the top, and I'm going to go over it a few times, and then I'll have it there just so I don't forget it. And that's the most important part about this process, is that I didn't play everything perfectly. My guitar's mostly in tune, and the most important idea is that Pro Tools at this point is not for me a mixing thing. It is not really a big recording thing. Right now, it is a notebook for me to record my ideas. So that's how I treat it right now, as a notebook. And it doesn't have to be more than this. Basically, I want to get a song idea done in an hour, or less than an hour, and then come back to it later on, and I'll tell you about that next step. Here we go. So we're going from the top. So maybe I won't play the first one. I'll just listen to this great music. All right. To the next section. So for the next section, again, how do I contradict that rhythm and do something that's simple? I mean, I don't know what that melody is going to be. I don't know if this is going to be like an instrumental guitar song or I'm going to sing over that stuff. But I want to have an idea of what a melody, just to make this song a little bit more personal, just to give it a little bit more life, put a melody on top of it. Maybe that'll be a background melody, and maybe there'll be vocals and like a death metal voice or something like that. I don't know, but I like to have melody. And normally with Death Clock stuff, when writing Death Clock music, there's no melody in the vocal. It's almost like rapping. It's almost like a guttural bark. And I like music with melody in it, and that's what I grew up listening to ELO and David Bowie and the Beatles and stuff like that. So I want melody really badly in music. So I try to sneak it in with guitar melodies all the time. So that's another part that hopefully will make this a little bit more personal. So. So let me try something. I'm going to try to do something and just repeat it. If I like it, I repeat it. So here's the next part. There's that spotlight thing I keep on doing. Here we go. There, but that's okay. So that's just another part. That's another idea. So that's something that sounds different than the first one. I have a little more, you can even see in the waveform there, down around here, that there are a little bit more breaks in it. It just looks different than the previous wave. Sometimes that's an important way to write music. How does that look different than the previous section? So there's that. Now I'm going to go on to the final section, and then we're going to talk about the stuff and take questions or whatever, and talk about the next step of the process. So let me get into this next one. So I had that. So I went from minor to major. So it's like a mix from almost like a Dorian to just to a major. It's like a minor third to the suspended fourth. And so the next part is that E minor thing. So, you know what I like sometimes, and this is something that Paul McCartney does, is he just goes up a scale. He just goes up a scale and leaves it there. And that always sounds good. And you can do that with bass, you can do that with a melody. But I'm going to try that with this. So I'm going to have this next part just be, since I had a little bit more stops and a little bit more syncopated stuff in the last one, I'm just going to go legato on this part. So here we go from staccato to legato. Let's see what this sounds like. Hopefully. So there you go. So I'm going to put my guitar down because I think I've got enough ideas to satisfy myself. Now let's listen to the whole thing one time, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit. I can turn this down in here and talk over it. So I'll turn on the master volume here. But this is the idea. So I'm going to turn off my pre-roll so I can just start from here. Turn off my click, mute that. So as you can see, I didn't really label too much. You know what I'm going to do before I move on from this whole idea is I think normally I don't do this, but I saw that there's a bass over there. So maybe I'll use this bass and I will plug in to this thing and just try to get a good bass sound. And do we have anything set up for bass?
Even sure
okay, so watch this. Basically, I want a clean bass sound. Or maybe I'll get maybe I'll plug it into the same distorted thing, and sometimes we'll use that too. But I'm going to get I had a bass idea here. I'm going to record over it. So I'll show you, I have to go into, basically I'm going to go into, it's not output, it's this thing. Not UA comp, it's line. Where do I go? How do I go from, what was the output for the guitar? Guitar L, that's what I need. Yes, I fixed it. I'm a genius. The fact that I learned that I could do that right now is really impressive to myself. Oh, thank you.
I have a bass.
I know. I have a bass now, so. Okay, cool. So I'm going to record input this thing, and I'm going to try to do, I'm going to do something that I do often with bass, which is something we're going to talk about later on. I'm not going to mess with that. Whatever I plugged into, that's what I'm going to record with because I don't have time to screw around. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even going to use this thing. But let's just talk about the first group of chords. And we're going to get into all the recording technique and all the technical stuff because we got a lot of time to fill, so don't worry about that. This is just about, again, how a bill becomes a law. I have to have an idea first or we don't have anything. You need a guy like me to come up with the idea first or Ulrich won't do, what do? You sit around doing nothing.
Without musicians, I have no job.
He has no job. He needs me to do this. So you've got to watch this process first. And so I'm going to turn this up a little bit so I can hear it a little bit louder in the mix. I'm going to turn my thing back up a little bit here. So let me just mute this for a second. So check this out. I'm going to do something that is really important, I think, in music, but not everybody does it. But it's about the bass note. Just like how I messed around with those chords at the top, instead of changing them from power chords to first inversion chords, which are, putting the third, I'm gonna, since I have the third in the root on the guitar, I can play the root here and it'll sound cool. It'll sound a little bit better. And there, that's good. And then I'm gonna mess around. I'm gonna establish the root movement on the bass, and then I'm going to change it after a couple, and then you'll hear that the song feels like the chords are different all of a sudden. So I will go from, and maybe end on the third, and then maybe the third time through, I'm going to alter it. So I'm going to improvise through it, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to get rid of this right here, and I'm just going to start right there, and everything else should be working. So here we go. Bass, no tracks are record enabled. Welcome to how I do this every day. It really is like I'm, obviously, but I'm doing it. That's the important part. Okay, here we go. Oh. The other thing I forgot to do was to turn my click back on. Here we go. Get ready, everyone. Another really important part about music is being in tune with yourself. And normally I have my iPhone and I will tune to this. I am a few cents off here, so I'm even sharp even. Sometimes with bass, oh yeah, see I'm sharp like crazy. Sometimes with bass, I will, to get something done very quickly, I won't tune all the strings. I'll just tune the first two. But in this case, I will tune, because I may want to use this D string. It's going to sound a lot better, trust me.
You make it a practice to like eliminate anything that stops your creative process.
That is very
Like
true.
you want to just keep being creative, and
Yes.
anything that gets in the way of that,
Yes.
from a technical standpoint, you
That's
just either ignore or
Yes.
it's just all about the ideas.
Totally.
Yeah.
And to add to that, I mean, this is an unusable bass. If you look here on there, that's way too much signal. I don't care right now. I wouldn't use that for my final, but I don't care right now because I just want to get the idea. The other thing I think, and this is one of the reasons I've made so many records in the amount of time that I've made them, is because I eliminate options. It's almost like it's like Lars von Trier, the filmmaker who did Breaking the Waves and tons of different movies, but he basically did this thing called Dogma 95 where he eliminated options. He said, if you want to film, I'm going to invent a style, and in order to film in this style, you have to only edit in camera, only use natural existing lighting, and that's it pretty much, and take the lens cap off. There are probably a few other things, but for my thing, I want to keep this sound on, I want to keep this bass here. For Death Clock, I'm in the key of C constantly, pretty much, because that's the lowest note if I'm tuned down to C standard, which is what I'm usually tuned down to. And I have like some violin patches that I can use, like to help with accentuate some melodies and make things sound bigger. And usually I will just use my Korg keyboard set up to a violin. I don't go into, later on I've changed and I've gone into like the contact stuff. But normally in demo stage, I don't care. It can sound, and then later on I found out some of my favorite things, some of my favorite metal recordings are not metal recordings. They used whatever was plugged in at the time. So this will help you be creative. Make sure there's nothing in your way. It's just you have a clean path from your guitar or your vocal mic or whatever it is to this thing. I guess you do have to tune because it will sound horrible otherwise. And I think I am in tune. So yeah, that is a good point. You don't want anything in your way. You want, like I said before, just to reiterate though, you want this stuff already set up so you can walk in the room, you don't have any excuses. Because we will find 1,000 excuses to get up out of this chair. We've had so much coffee, we're going to go insane and we need to run around the room 3 or 4 times. You can't leave until you finish this. Same with script writing. I have to make sure I have a comfortable environment if I'm writing scripts for TV and all that stuff too. I know how I am. I know how I am with excuses. I will make them. It's like young Frankenstein, where he says, listen, I'm going to go in there with the monster. I'm going to scream, I'm going to beg, I'm going to do anything to make you let me out, to unlock this door. Don't let me out, no matter what happens. I'm going to do everything, every trick in the book to get out of this room. But I have to go and make peace with the monster. And of course he goes in there and he goes, let me out of here, because he thinks he's going to get killed. And Terry Garr's like, no, you told me not to leave. He goes, I was kidding. And he starts insulting her. And but that's pretty much what we're doing right here. We're trapped in the room with the Frankenstein monster and we cannot let ourselves out. We have to also be Terry Gar. Okay, here we go. Here's the bass thing. I'm going to use this root movement thing, and hopefully this time it's going to work. Click works, that's good. Here we go. So. I did a couple different things. Some of them sounded good, some of them didn't sound wonderful, but I'm gonna leave them there for now. So the next section is, again, we've changed the rhythm, so I'm gonna, I think I need to tune one more time too. Still a little off. My A is okay. My A is okay, so I'm gonna play on the A string on this thing, just because I know my A is in tune. I don't know about my E, so here we go. I keep doing the same thing. I'm gonna fix that last. I mean, I blew plenty of things there. I made plenty of terrible choices. But I'm going to do the last little bar where it fades out to nothing really quickly because I screwed that up. So that's my song. Now I've got a bass in there. It's not perfect. There's that other note that you heard that I screwed up earlier. But I've got a song. I've got something to work with. And that's what you need to have. You need to have a rough draft of a script or of anything that you can. I'm going to turn this volume down. Can I give this to someone really quickly? We're safe. Thank you, Ulrich. But that's what I need. Like you heard, that may not be that special, or maybe you think there's a cool rock tune in there somewhere. But some parts are boring. Some parts are exciting. You know what I may do? This is something I would do later on. I would take that first riff. I'd see if I could make that into a single line riff too, instead of just those chords. I'd do something like here. Maybe in a different version, or if I want to elongate the song, I would do variations of a theme. But you need a theme first to have variations from. So. Get back into input mode. So my first. So I could turn, that could be a riff. That could be something that I could do later on if I want to. And on the second, so when, now that's just straight picking through and just accenting certain parts, but I can go, I can change the tempo if I want to make it a little bit faster, if I feel like it grooves at a different speed. And sometimes I do feel that, and sometimes I do change tempos later on. But I can make things a little bit more stylized, a little bit more syncopated. But first, I just need to have something that excites me personally and is harmonically interesting and melodically interesting. Otherwise, you've got a generic thing that you can hear at Guitar Center by anybody on any Saturday afternoon by a 58-year-old man drooling over flying V. You don't want to be that. Sorry.